Hey, it's Jen Anderson, Chief Inspiration Officer and creator of the 3 a.m. with God journal. Today I want to talk about what's on my shirt, which is Love Like Jesus. I love this shirt. It's one of my new finds from Nove Boutique. Anyhow, I was thinking about love and Jesus and his great example of love. And so I've got some thoughts about this today. I want to, first of all, talk about the fact that in the Bible, depending on the version of the Bible, there's anywhere from about 310 to over 500 times that the word love shows up, and it's based off of translation. Also in the Bible, there's nearly 1,200 chapters. So if you average that out, basically the word love shows up and this is in the Bible. So the Old Testament and the New Testament shows up anywhere between every 2 to 4 chapters. The word love shows up. So I kind of think that maybe Jesus is trying to tell us something there, right? So let's think about this. And of course, to me, I always think about Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18, where he talks about loving thy neighbor as thyself. And so I remember when I first read that verse, I don't know, a couple of decades ago, and I remember thinking about that, about loving your neighbor and how literal that is, right? And so this is in Leviticus. This is very much like, this is how you guys got to be living your life. And I get that and I understand. And I think it's super important to get to know your neighbors and become friends with them so you can love them regardless of who they are, right? And I see why Jesus encourages that. But I've also been thinking a little bit about, well, who are our other neighbors? And a thought's been coming to mind for me just recently about our neighbors being actually the people who are inside our household. And so I don't know about you guys, but I'll tell you what, sometimes my husband and I, we can have rock star fights. And I'm not happy about that. I'm not proud about that. And I am trying to change it. And I'm trying to get my pride out of the way and trying to be more humble and do what I can to not be so stubborn and instead be more like a Proverbs 31 woman. I'm working on it, and it's a daily thing, and I'm getting there and I'm getting better. But I was thinking about how if I'm going to love like Jesus, I need to love my husband and anybody that's in my household. I need to love them so much, just as I would love myself. And when I'm saying household, also, I'm not just talking about my children that are in my household with me and my husband. I'm talking about like my family group, right? So there's my side of the family, there's my husband's side of the family, and we each have, certainly siblings and aunts and uncles and cousins, and like there's just like people, right? It continues out from there. And so, the reason I wanted to bring this up is I know that Satan is trying so hard to tear us down. Oh, he wants the family to fall apart so that he can get his way and continue to have more and more anger and strife and frustration and anxiety and depression and pain and all that stuff. He wants more of that. And I don't want him to get away with that. And I think that it's really important that we slow down, and long before we have a moment of feeling aggressive or angry or upset or whatever it is towards our spouse or family member, long before we get to that point, clear back here, we need to think about, well, why do we want to go there? Why do we want to give Satan his happy dance moment, right? When we're fighting. And he's thinking, oh yeah, maybe this is another marriage that can get to tear apart, right? Or yeah, like here's another parent that's yelled at their child and that kid's gonna pull back a little bit, right, from their parents because they don't feel the love. And so I've been working on this, and I've been trying to think a lot about that whole thing. Like if I know those things are gonna happen, right? And here I am today, and as I'm cruising along, I know that those moments are gonna happen where I'm not gonna be in my best form, and I'm gonna be hangry, or I'm going to be just overwhelmed, or I'm going to be stressed out about something or whatever, and I'm going to snap and I'm going to lash out and do any of those things that are just really terrible, right? And then I beat up myself, and my husband's not happy with me, or my daughter's not happy with me, or my bonus kids, I call my step kids my bonus kids, they're not happy with me or something. And it's not like this happens all the time, but I don't want it to be there, right? I want there to be so much love. Like Jesus is like, what would he have me do, right? And how would he want that to be in our household? So I've been thinking about this a lot. Just recently, so it's just really hitting home for me. And I think that we need to really get ahead of this, because Satan is just doing an all-out war on us as individuals, particularly for faith-based entrepreneurs who are women that are married and have kids. I'm pretty convinced that he wants to take us down, and he wants to take us down fast. Because if we try to bring God into our business and think about, and act as if God is our CEO and try to do those things which will be pleasing unto God, right? For our business, for our employees, for our customers, for our prospective customers, for our vendors, for whomever it is, right? Any of our business associates. And then if you're married, and so with your husband, he doesn't want you to have a relationship with him, right? He wants to tear that sucker apart because he can't have that, and he's upset. And he wants to see just mass destruction in our hearts and in our spirits. And for our children and our relationships with our children. And so he doesn't want that to happen, right? He doesn't want you to build that strong relationship, because with a strong relationship, then your kids come to you, they love you, they trust you, etc. So if he can tear all that stuff apart and just get inside the minds here of, again, faith-based entrepreneurs, he is winning the battle. And I don't want to let him keep winning the battle. No. And in the end, okay, he's going to win some battles, but he's not going to win the war. But I'm trying to minimize the battles and minimize that as much as I possibly can. So I invite you to look at that as well, and to look at what are you doing so that you can love like Jesus more and make a difference, to recognize how are you taking care of those relationships that are closest to you. Yes, of course, get to know your neighbors, all that stuff, that's great. But if we don't have love at home, the rest of it doesn't matter. So do what you can. And by the way, the more you pray about it and you seek for guidance and advice on what you can do in those areas, I dare say you're going to get some answers in the middle of the night. I know that I have. I look at my 3 a.m. with God journal, and I have examples in there of where Heavenly Father has guided and directed me with specific things on what I need to do, in particular in my marriage. And so I think that's awesome, and that's amazing, and it's beautiful. And so I invite you to pray about it and be open to it. And when that prompting comes in the middle of the night, respond to it, right? Don't be tired. Don't be like, oh, I just want to lay here for a minute and then I'll wake up. No, don't do that, right? He's waking you up, and he's got an answer for you at a time where it's super quiet, where no customer needs you, or no vendor, or no project and emails and deadlines, and you and your husband are not awake, and you're not awake with your kids, etc. And I definitely believe that this applies to faith-based entrepreneurs that are men as well. It definitely applies. And so think about that and pay attention and write those things down, those promptings that you're getting, and then go take action on them, because it's amazing. It's so amazing, you guys. It feels so much better when we do that. So let's love thy neighbor, right? And let's remember always, let's just love like Jesus. Okay, you guys, take care. And remember always that God has a message for you.